Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to this week's Mental Monday. Before I get into the topic, I want to thank you guys for the questions on my Friday video. I know it was super last minute, not super detailed, really short, but especially somebody mentioned your excuse is self-care, and I really appreciated that. I really appreciated that, and especially with doing these Mental Mondays and trying to be so real with how I'm feeling, that just is very encouraging and very nice and really nice to hear. So it was just a really sweet comment and I appreciated it, and I appreciate all the questions, and I'm really excited to do a video. If you missed it and you haven't gotten to put any questions, I will link it so you can go enter your questions in the comments. So this week we're gonna delve back into some deep stuff again, and I actually want to start another series. This one is only like 3 videos long potentially though, so it's not more than 3 videos out. And that's kind of on the various types of abuse. So I want to break up the different types of abuse into their own videos, because I feel like each type is so unique and comes with its own complications and warning signs, and just the trauma and the scars that it leaves are unique to each thing. And I really want to give each its own due airtime. So we're going to start off by talking about none other than mental abuse. I know I did a video like 2.5, 3 years ago, I will try to link it if I can, about gaslighting. Gaslighting is basically where you are flipping somebody's feelings to sound crazy and making them feel crazy when actually they're right and they have a valid reason to feel that way. And not in a, oh, I'm genuinely confused and I don't understand why you feel that way, but in a, I'm gonna manipulate you and I'm going to make you look out to be the crazy one and kind of deflect that all onto you. And a lot of times it's done in abusive situations to control the person. So, all abuse is about control. All types of abuse. It's not about what they may be trying to get. It's not about the act of what they're doing that's that type of abuse. It's about control. It's about power and control. And specifically, mental abuse is very much about manipulation and getting somebody to do what you want them to do what you say, do what you ask, be in line with what you want them to be, and to put yourself in the position mentally, intellectually, being far above them, and that they need you. You're taking care of them, even though you're doing everything in your power to hinder them as a person in their growth, but that's a whole other section to it. So basically, mental abuse is practically when you are putting someone down, when you're making them feel less about themselves, when you're limiting them, when you're depriving them of things that are essential for being mentally healthy and being able to thrive. So we're talking relationships if you're isolating them. We're talking affirmation if all you're pointing out is what's wrong with them and what they do wrong, and you have no positive speech towards them at all. We're also talking about making them feel lesser than, making them feel bad about themselves. So questioning things they're doing, making them feel incompetent. It can even become as petty as putting their looks down or making them feel like they're wrong for dressing a certain way or something. And of course, all of that can be depicted within gaslighting. And gaslighting is a huge, I don't want to say tool because that's really disturbing, but essentially it is. It's a tool for how you control that person. You deflect them picking up on what you're doing by making them feel like they're the crazy one. And like somehow they brought all of this on themselves. That is the biggest reason why mentally abused people, I'm gonna say people, not women, because both happen. I've seen both happen. I will say, to my understanding, it's either fairly close to equal, and again, don't quote me on these numbers at all, because I have not researched this. This is just what I've picked up from different sources, is it's either the numbers, the statistics for mental abuse between men and women in a relationship, it's either like really close to equal, or women are slightly above. But I mean, essentially, I'm just trying to get across, it can happen to either one. I've seen men be abused in relationships mentally. I've seen women be abused in relationships mentally. So, just to put that out there. The goal is the same. To control the person, to manipulate the person, to have almost, when you're outside the situation looking, have like a toy thing. They're like your person that you get to control and play with. And that sounds really disturbing, but that's kind of how it feels. With all of the myriad of ways that that brings up that can look like, whether it's put downs or gaslighting or what have you. There's also a lot of different complications and trauma and scarring mentally that happens from that. You can get low self-esteem. You can have somebody that is severely isolated mentally from relationships and them have to build back those relationships because they got ruined in the course of that relationship, and that's not uncommon in abusive relationships because they try to isolate you so that nobody around you knows what's going on. And that's the scary part, is how easily, without you noticing, that can happen, where you're isolated from everybody that you knew before, and all of a sudden that person only wants you paying attention to them. So then everybody else is cut off, and that's how it goes unnoticed. So then you have to build those relationships back. You also have to build trust with people back, because after you've had it abused in that way, it's hard to be able to trust somebody again, especially in a romantic relationship where you are going to be hyper aware of what they're doing. And there's going to be moments that might trigger you where they do something similar, or they say something a certain way, or they do something that's normal in the course of a relationship that you also had in the abusive relationship, but that was the last person before this, so it triggers you because it brings that memory back. It is very much like PTSD. In any abuse situation, it's very much like PTSD, where you kind of have to relearn everything. Everything in that scenario. And it can be difficult to try to be in a romantic relationship again. I'm putting it in the context of a romantic relationship, but this really pertains to whatever the relationship it is. It could also be parent to child. It could also be sibling to sibling. So it's not specific to the relationship you're in, it's just most commonly talked about within a romantic relationship. Parent to child is not uncommon. Sibling to sibling, that probably varies. But parent to child is not uncommon. Romantic relationships are definitely not uncommon. And that could also determine what kind of triggers you have, depending on the type of relationship it was within. And both have really difficult aftermath to it. All of it is abuse. And you have to recover from that. And that can look different for everybody. Everybody's going to have a different severity level, different circumstances that it was done under that would make you have to deal with certain things. But essentially it comes down to having to heal mentally and get your confidence back, get your own view of yourself back, and feel that strength again to be who you were. Because in a mentally abusive relationship, you essentially lose who you were, because that other person breaks that down so much. And that is the basis of recovery, is getting yourself back and healing the wounds they left. So I hope that was detailed enough. If you have any other specific questions about it, leave that in the comments below and maybe I could do a follow-up. I do want to say each of this is unique. So there's no one way this has to look to be deemed mental abuse, and it doesn't have to be obvious. In fact, in most cases, it's not that obvious. So I will leave some more information and some more resources down below, and I can try to answer any questions that anybody might have. In all 3 of these videos, I will also link information to contact somebody to get help if you feel like you or somebody you know is in this circumstance. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed and have notifications on, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!